the mental body. Okay, now this is really interesting, because here we have to learn how to find balance between our 3D world and our 5D world. Okay, the psyche is the fourth body, the Manas Sharir. This body has its own wonderful experiences. Now, a person whose intellect is not developed may not be able to take interest in or enjoy mathematics, for instance. Mathematics has its own charm, and only Einstein can be absorbed in it, as a musician is in music or a painter is in colors. For Einstein, mathematics was not work but play, but the intellect must reach this peak of development in order to turn mathematics into play. With each body that develops, infinite possibilities open before us. One whose etheric body does not develop, who stagnates after the first 7 years of development, does not have any interest in life beyond eating and drinking. So the cultures of those civilizations where the majority of people have developed only up to the first body revolve entirely around their taste buds. The civilization where the majority of people have got stuck at the second body will be sex-centered. Their personalities, their literature, their music, their films and books, their poetry, paintings, even their houses and vehicles will all be sex-centered. All these things will be completely filled with sex, with sexuality. In the civilization in which the third body develops fully, people will be intellectual and contemplative. Whenever the development of the third body becomes very important in a society or in a nation, many intellectual revolutions take place. In Bihar, the majority of people were of this caliber at the time of Buddha and Mahavira. This is why 8 persons of the stature of Buddha and Mahavira were born in the small province of Bihar. Besides, there were thousands of others at the time who were endowed with genius. Such was the condition of Greece at the time of Socrates and Plato. Such also was the condition of China at the time of Lao Tzu and Confucius. What is even more wonderful to note is the fact that all these luminous beings existed within a period of 500 years. Within those 500 years, the development of the third body in man reached its peak. Generally, man halts at the third body. The majority of people do not develop after 21 years. There are unusual experiences of the fourth body. Hypnotism, telepathy, clairvoyance are all the potential of the fourth body. Persons can have contact with one another without hindrances from time or place. They can read the thoughts of another without asking or project thoughts into another. Without any external help, one can instill a seed of thought into another. A person can travel outside of his body. He can do astral projection and know himself apart from the physical body. There are great possibilities in the fourth body, but we do not normally develop this body as there are many hazards as well as much deception. As things become to get more and more subtle, the possibilities of deception increase. Now it is difficult to find out whether a man has actually stepped out of his body or not. He can dream that he stepped out of his body, and he can actually do so too. And in both the cases, there is no other witness than himself, so there is every possibility of deception. The world that starts from the fourth body is subjective, whereas the world before that is objective. Now, if I have a rupee in my hand, I can see it, right? You can see it. 50 others can also see it. This is a common reality in which we can all take part, and it can be investigated whether the rupee is or is not. But in the realm of my thoughts, you cannot be a partner, nor I can be a partner in the realm of your thoughts. From here, the personal world begins with all its hazards. None of our external rules of validity can be used here. So the real world of deception starts from the fourth body. All the deceptions of the preceding three can be seen through. The greatest danger is that it is not necessarily the case that the deceiver is aware of the fact that he is deceiving. He can deceive unknowingly himself as well as others. Things are so subtle, so rare and personal on this plane that one has no means to test the validity of his experiences. So he cannot tell whether he is imagining things or whether they are really happening to him. So we have always tried to so-called save humanity from this fourth body, and those who made use of this body were always condemned and slandered. Hundreds of women were branded as witches and burnt in Europe because they used the faculties of the fourth body. Hundreds who practiced Tantra were killed in India because of the fourth body. They knew some secrets that seemed dangerous to human beings. They knew what was taking place in your mind. They knew where things were placed in your house without ever having stepped into it. So the realm of the fourth body was looked upon as black art all over the world, as one never knew what might happen. Sadly, we have always tried our best to stop progress from growing any further than the third body, because the fourth has always seemed very dangerous, you can say. Now, this psychic happening is of two kinds, one true and one false. It will be false when it is a product of your imagination, because imagination is also a characteristic of the fourth body. Animals do not have the power of imagination, so they have very little memory of the past and no idea of future. Animals are free from anxiety, as anxiety is always of the future. Animals see many deaths taking place, but they never imagine that they can die also. Therefore, they have no fear of death. Among men also, there are many who are not bothered by the fear of death. Such a man always associates death with others and not with himself. The reason is that the power of imagination in the fourth body has not developed fully enough to see into the future. This means that imagination can also be true or false. True imagination means that we are capable of seeing further ahead, that we can visualize that which has not yet come to pass. But to imagine that something will happen that cannot be, which does not exist, is also false imagination, right? Now, when imagination is used in its right perspective, it becomes science. Science is primarily only imagination, for example, astrology. Now, if science is imagination, then madness is also imagination. A madman imagines things which do not exist and which have no relationship with the physical world. The scientist also imagines. He imagines things which are directly related with the physical world. And if it does not seem so at first, there is a complete possibility of there being so in the future. Among the possibilities of the fourth body, there's always a chance of going wrong. Then the false world begins. This is why it is best if we do not harbor any expectations before entering this body. This fourth body is the psychic body. Now, for instance, if I want to go down to the ground floor of this house, I will have to look for a lift or a staircase in order to do so, right? But if I want to go down in my thoughts, there is no need for a lift or a staircase. I can sit right here and go down. The hazard of imagination and thoughts is that one has to do nothing except imagine or think, and so anyone can do it. Moreover, if anyone enters this realm with preconceived ideas and expectations, then he immediately goes down only into these, because then the mind will be only too willing to cooperate. Now, transcending this mental body, the fourth body is absolutely wall-less. From inside the third body, there is not even a transparent wall. It is just a boundary, wall-less. So there is no difficulty in entering and no need of any method. So one who has achieved the third can achieve the fourth very easily. But to go beyond the fourth, there is as much difficulty as there was in going beyond the first, because now the mental ceases. The fifth is the spiritual body. Before it can be reached, there is again a wall, but not in the same sense as there was a wall between the first body and the second body. The wall is between different dimensions now. It is of a different plane. The four lower bodies were all concerned with one plane. The division was horizontal, linear, right? Now it is vertical. So the wall between the fourth and the fifth is bigger than between any two of the lower bodies, because our ordinary way of looking is horizontal, linear, not vertical. We look from side to side, not up and down. But the movement from the fourth body to the fifth is from a lower plane to a higher plane. The difference is not between outside and inside, but between up and down. Not unless you begin to look upward can you move into the fifth. The mind always looks downward. That is why yoga is against the mind. The mind flows downward just like water. Water has never been made the symbol of any spiritual system because its intrinsic nature is to flow downward. Fire has been the symbol of so many systems. Fire goes upward, it never goes downward. So in moving from the fourth body to the fifth body, fire is a symbol. One must look upward. One must stop seeing downward. Now, how to look upward? What is the way? You must have heard that in meditation, the eyes must be looking upward to the Ajna chakra, that is our third eye chakra, right? Between the eyebrows. The eyes must be focused upward as if you are going to see inside your skull. Eyes are only symbolic. The real question is of vision. Our vision, our faculty for seeing is associated with the eyes. So eyes become the means through which even inward vision happens. If you turn your eyes upward, then your vision too goes upward. Now Raja Yoga begins with the fourth body. Raja Yoga is a form of body intended to achieve control over the mind and emotions. Only Hatha Yoga begins with the first body. Hatha Yoga is a system of physical exercises and breathing control. Other yogas begin from somewhere else. Theosophy begins from the second body, and other systems begins from the third. As civilization goes on progressing to the fourth body, many persons will be able to begin from there, but only if they have worked through the three lower bodies in their past lives can the fourth be used. Those who study Raja Yoga from scriptures or from swamis and gurus without knowing whether or not they have worked through their three lower bodies are bound to be disillusioned, because one cannot begin from the fourth. The three must be crossed first. Only then does the fourth come. The fourth is the last body that it is possible to begin from. There are 4 yogas. Hatha Yoga for the first body, Mantra Yoga for the second, Bhakti Yoga for the third, and Raja Yoga for the fourth. In ancient days, everybody had to begin with the first body. But now there are so many types of people. One has worked up to the second body in a previous life, another up to the third, etc. But as far as dreaming is concerned, one must begin from the first body. Only then can you know the whole range of it, the whole spectrum of it. So in the fourth body, your consciousness must become like fire, going upward. There are many ways to check this. For example, if the mind is flowing towards sex, it is just like water flowing downward, because the sex center is downward. In the fourth body, one must begin directing the eyes up, not down. If consciousness is to go upward, it must begin from a center that is above the eyes, not below the eyes. There is only one center above the eyes from which the movement can be upward, the Ajna Chakra. Now the 2 eyes must look upward toward the third eye. The third eye has been remembered in so many ways. Like in India, the distinction between a virgin and a girl who is married is made by a color mark on the third eye of the married one, like bindi, right? A virgin is bound to look downward toward the sex center. But the moment she is married, she must begin to look upward. Sex must change from sexuality to beyond sexuality. To help her to remember to look upward, a color mark, a tilak, is used on the third eye. Tilak marks have been used on the foreheads of so many types of persons, sannyasins, worshippers, so many types of color marks. Or it is possible to use chandan also, sandalwood paste. The moment your 2 eyes look upward toward the third eye, a great fire is created at the center. A burning sensation is there. The third eye is beginning to open and it must be kept cool. So in India, sandalwood paste is used. It is not only cool, it also has a particular perfume that is concerned with the third body and the transcendence of it. The coolness of the perfume and the particular spot where it is placed becomes an upward attraction, a remembrance of the third eye. If you close your eyes and I place my finger at your third eye spot, I'm not really touching your third eye itself, but you will still begin to feel it. Even this much pressure is enough, slight pressure, scarcely a touch, just a gentle finger touch. So the perfume, the delicate touch of it and its coolness is enough. Then your attention is always flowing from your eyes to the third eye. So to cross the fourth body, there's only one technique, one method, and that is to look upward. Shirshasana, the headstand, the reverse position of the body, was used as a method to do this because our eyes are ordinarily looking downward. If you stand on your head, you will still be looking downward, but now the downward is upward. The flow of your energy downward will be converted into an upward flow, right? That is why in meditation, even without knowing it, some people will go into reverse positions. They will begin to do Shirshasana because the flow of energy has changed. Their minds are so conditioned to the downward flow that when the energy changes direction, they will feel uncomfortable. When they begin to stand on their heads, they will feel at ease again because the flow of energy will again be moving downward. But it will not really be moving downward. In relation to your centers or your chakras, the energy will still be moving upward. So, Shirshasana has been used as a method to take you from the fourth body to the fifth. The main thing to be remembered is to be looking upward. This can be done through through tratak, that is staring at a fixed object, through concentration on the sun, through so many objects, but it is better to do it inwardly. Just close the eyes and concentrate on your third eye. But first, the first four bodies must be crossed. Only then can it be helpful. Otherwise not. Otherwise it may be disturbing. It may create all sorts of mental diseases because the whole adjustment of the system will be shattered. The four bodies are looking downward, and with your inner mind you are looking upward. Then there is every possibility that something like schizophrenia may result. That is why ordinary psychology cannot go deeply into schizophrenia. The schizophrenic mind is simultaneously working in opposite directions, standing outside and looking inside, standing outside and looking upward. Your whole system must be in harmony. If you have not known your physical body from the inside, then your consciousness should be facing downward. That will be healthy. The adjustment is right. You must never try to turn the outward moving mind upward, or schizophrenia or division will be the result. Our civilizations, our religions have been the basic cause for humanity's split personality. They have not been concerned with the total harmony. There are teachers who teach methods to move upward to people who are not even inside their own physical body, or who have not experienced every aspect of their physical body. The method begins to work and part of the person remains outside his body while a second part moves upward. Then there will be a split between the two. He will become two persons, sometimes this, sometimes that. There is every possibility that a person can become 7 people simultaneously. Then the split is complete because he has become 7 different energies. One part of him is moving downward, clinging to the first body, another is clinging to the second, another to the third. One part is going upward, another is going somewhere else. He has no center in him at all. Such a person is just like a house where the master is absent and every servant claims he is the master. And no one can deny it because the master himself is absent. A schizophrenic is without any center, and we are all like that. We have adjusted ourselves to society, that's all. The difference is only of degrees. The master is absent or asleep, and every part of us claims ownership. When the sex urge is there, sex becomes the master. Your mortality, your family, your religion, everything will be denied. Sex becomes the total owner of the house. And then when sex is gone, frustration follows. Your reason takes charge and says, I am the master. Now reason will claim the whole house and will deny sex a home. Everybody claims the house totally. When anger is there, it becomes the master. Now there is no reason, no cautiousness, nothing else can interfere with the anger. Because of this, we cannot understand others. A person who is loving becomes angry and suddenly there is no love. We are at a loss now to understand whether he is loving or not loving. The love was just a servant and the anger too is just a servant. The master is absent. That is why you cannot ordinarily rely on anybody else. He is not master of himself. Any servant can take over. He is no one. He is not a unity. So one should not experiment with techniques of looking upward before crossing the first 4 bodies. Otherwise, a split will be created which will be impossible to bridge. And one will have to wait for one's next life to begin again. It is better to practice techniques that begin from the beginning. If you have passed your first 3 bodies in past births, then you will pass them again within a moment. There will be no difficulty. You know the territory, you know the way. In a moment, they come before you. You recognize them and you have passed them. Then you can go further. To move from the 4th body is the most significant thing. Up to the 4th body, you are human. Now, you become superhuman. In the first body, you are just an animal. Only with the 2nd body does humanity come into being. And only in the 4th does it flower completely. Civilization has never gone beyond the 4th. Beyond the 4th is beyond the human. We cannot classify Christ as a human being, right? A Buddha, a Mahavira, a Krishna are beyond the human. They are superhuman. The upward look is a jump from the 4th body. When I am looking at my first body from outside it, I am just an animal with a possibility of being human. The only difference is that I can become human and the animal cannot. As far as the present situation is concerned, we are both below humanity, subhuman. But I have a possibility to go beyond. And from the 2nd body onward, the flowering of the human being happens. Even someone in the 4th body looks superhuman to us, but they are not. And Einstein or Voltaire looks superhuman, but they are not. They are the complete flowering of the human being. But a Buddha, a Christ, or a Zarathustra is more than human. By looking upward, by raising their consciousness upward from the 4th body, they have crossed the boundary of the mind. They have transcended the mental body. There are parables worth our understanding. Like Muhammad, looking upward, says that something has come to him from above. We interpret this above geographically, so the sky becomes the abode of the gods. For us, upward means the sky, downward means the layer below the earth. But if we interpret it in this way, the symbol has not been understood. When Muhammad is looking upward, he is not looking toward the sky, he is looking toward the Ajna Chakra. When he says that something has come to him from above, his feeling is right. But up has a different meaning for us. Like for example, in every picture, Zarathustra is looking upward. His eyes are never downward. He was looking upward when he first saw the divine. The divine came to him as fire. That is why the Persians have been fire worshippers. This feeling of fire comes from the Ajna chakra. When you look upward, the spot feels fiery, as if everything is burning. Because of that burning, you are transformed. The lower being is burnt, it ceases to be, and the upper being is born. That is meaning of passing through fire.